I had had enough.
Well, you drove out there into the middle of nowhere and had some sort of loud verbal display challenging ET in general out in the middle of nowhere?
That's what I was doing. I actually had a pistol in my hand at the time. I was really ticked off. When I was having this fit, I was waving the gun in the air, okay, and I had this fit. And at this moment, I said, okay.
He was a Louisiana man named Montaldo. Folks around called him Six Gun Joe. Worked with ICAR, don't you know? Investigating UFOs. Out for a drive with a gal one night, they stopped to check out the reporting site. When an alien lit right there on the ground, he commenced to throwing his weight around. Now, old Six Gun didn't take too kindly to that kind of thing, especially without Vaseline or anything like that, you know. Seriously. Well, Six Gun looked that critter right in the eye and said, "Any last wish before you die, yo?" Reached for his gun, quick as a twitch, and said, "Fill your claw, you son of a bitch." Now a legend spread across the land about this pistol-waving man. But if you're from space or from Earth below, you don't give no lip to Six Gun Joe.
Tune in to UFO Undercover, Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, with your host, Joe Montaldo, right here on the Paranormal Radio Network. Welcome to UFO Undercover, with your host, Joe Montaldo.
Well, how everybody doing today? I hope everyone's having a great day here in October. You know, October is one of my favorite months. I always have a ball this time of year. I'm going to behave tonight. I haven't been torturing the host yet this year, but now that I'm back home and I'm not traveling for a while, I will be torturing the host with sound effects the rest of the holiday season. I can't help myself. But anyway, welcome to UFO Undercover. I really do hope everyone's having a great morning, great evening, great afternoon, wherever you are on our big, beautiful blue planet. You know, we go out to every country in the world these days. So this show's now, sorry, guys. I didn't mean to cough in y'all's ear. This show is 20 years old, and you don't even have a mute button. Shame on me. But it's 2022? So it's 22 years old. Been around for a while. Before that, I was hosting Wake Up USA, a UFO study, and, you know, I also host a Centralist. I host a Gray Zone with Michelle DeRoche, one of my favorite people. And, you know, we have a lot of fun just chatting. She does all the work. I just yap. She does. No, really and truly, she does all the work. She really does get everything together for the shows and make them good. All you're going to hear is reruns for this month, for October, because we're all working and doing stuff throughout the month. So it's easier for us to just, because we had a lot of good reruns. So it's just easier for us to play a rerun this time of the month and enjoy it. But UFO Undercover's live for the rest of the year, and we should be enjoying ourselves and have a lot to talk about through. Just been a lot going on. A lot of UFO sightings. I mean, they're all over. What do you mean? Abduction Undercover. See, I don't think that'd be a good title. We'd probably get arrested with a title like that. No, I'm just saying. I'm not thinking that would be a real good title. No. But we're going to get into the subject matter in a few minutes. Just a lot of stuff I want to crisscross. There have been a lot of UFO sightings now. You know, what's good, what's not, what's in between is hard to say, because really and truly, when you look and all the digital cameras out there, it's just hard to say if it's real or if it's Memorex. I mean, it's just hard to say. I mean, when you look at it, I mean, it's easy to hoax stuff. I mean, truly, truly easy to hoax stuff. But I mean, it's just so easy to hoax anything these days. I mean, look, I can take my little camera out here, my iPhone 14, whatever I'm on now. Oh, no, 13 the Pro. I'm not on iPhone 14 yet because I think I'm switching back to Samsung, but that's another story. Anyway, I can take a picture of any landscape out there. And I live on a Gulf Coast, so it's beautiful out here. I can go out at night, take a shot of the sky and the stars and the water, come home, upload it into my computer because it's all high, it's HD. Well, everything's high digital and it's 4K. So you just upload it. You take your other little picture matching the same thing, you slide it over, drop it on top of it, and wham bam, thank you, ma'am. You now have a hoax picture, and it's just a shame that it's that easy to hoax things now. I mean, it really is that easy to hoax things. Oh man, the studio door's open. I have to get up and go ahead and close it. Anyway, it's just so easy to hoax anything these days. Plus, with drones make. I mean, geez, thank God they weren't drones in the 50s and 60s. It would have been ridiculous how many people would have been hoaxing stuff. I mean, I see a lot of good hoaxes that are drones, and it's hard to tell. I mean, it really is. A lot of times you just can't tell. I mean, you just got to go, well, I don't know. It's too good to be true. Let's wait till it lands in some White House's front yard. That was a smart ass comment. Now, shame on you. If it lands in Washington, I don't know what to say. We might not find out what it is. It might. Joe Biden, just stop, man. I'm not going to read those comments. Stop it. Really, I mean, if it landed in D.C. right now, I'm not sure if they'd know what it was. I'd be scared. I'd be scared, man. You mean Trump? He'd have cooked them for dinner. What are you talking about? Get out of here, man. Come on. Stop. We're not even here to talk about all the time. Anyway, I just want to talk about a couple of UFO sightings. Y'all just harassing the hell out of me tonight. Anyway, there's been a lot of weird stuff on the East Coast, West Coast, in the middle of the country, the Gulf Coast. Just been a lot of stuff flying around in the skies. Now, how much of that is alien? That's the question, isn't it? It really, truly is the question. And let's close this off right now. But that is the question, and I'm not sure. I mean, most of it looks like it's probably garbage, faked, hoaxed. I mean, there's some good hoaxes, but if you take your time, if you've been out in the skies enough, a lot of times you can really kind of tell a hoax when you see it. Things just seem to be out of. So besides that, if you've listened to me even once, when I'm talking about UFOs, sorry, I don't know what's with my throat tonight. I tell you how to do it. Just make sure you get things in the picture. So if you're looking at the sky, so if there's a telephone pole to the left or some type of tower, a building or some grass, I mean, just get anything you can in the shot. The more stuff you get in the shot, the easier it is to judge height and distance. Yeah, if like the ones that Sci-Fi has picked up of mine, I've taken some good shots along the Gulf Coast. So you'll see me when I zoom out. Well, you don't see me, but you see when you hear me talking. I'll zoom out and catch something over the water. So the last really good one, I caught it. I actually stopped to catch something else, but it went down behind the trees too fast. I couldn't get it. So I was sitting there talking to my wife, and I looked out there and I seen this thing, just weird, right on the horizon, good ways out. So I got out the camera and started recording it. So I zoomed out and I caught it, and you could see it was crazy looking. And then I slowly zoomed back, and as I did, you could start to see like there was a ship out on the horizon. And then it came in, and then you could see like the casinos off to the left, and all of a sudden you could see the poles and the highways and where we were standing. So it gave you an idea of how far this thing out. Plus, it was in the middle of the horizon, which suggests it was out a few miles, at least probably 5 to 7 miles. But because it was below the cloud deck, which happened to be at 5,000 feet that day, and if you want to know the cloud deck, you can usually get hold of local weather people. You can usually go online and find it, what the local cloud deck is. We have the websites in our phone. I mean, well, now in our phones, but in our laptops as well, because we carry that, JTrack, and airport monitors. And the reason why is you can track all air traffic in live time, in case y'all didn't know that. Yes, you can. And most of them, you can go back up to 1 year to see what's flying. It even shows military and classified flights. It just doesn't tell you classified. It doesn't tell you what they are. It just gives you a number. But it gives you a taking off and a destination usually. Not always. It doesn't always give you a destination, but everybody else has to give you a takeoff and a destination and a flight description and a number and the whole 9 yards, so you can find out what it is. So if you see this weird thing in the sky, you run over to JTrack, right? If it's high, you run over to JTrack and you look and see what's tracking on the satellite. You go back a few minutes, go forward a few minutes. You don't see anything. You're like, okay, what's not a satellite? So you close that. pop-up airport monitor, and you look up there and you see where you are. You can look on the thing because it'll let you turn your computer to get the longitude and latitude where you are, and it'll pick it up and look. And then it'll basically give you anything that was flying in anywhere within like 20 miles of that area, anywhere within eye distance of the area. And if there's nothing there, you're like, okay, well, whoa, wait a minute now. It's not J-track. It's not that. Doesn't look like it's nothing naturally occurring. Now, what the hell is this? So then you might actually have something worth looking at. Can you actually prove it's extraterrestrial? No, it could be anything, but it doesn't. We can rule out those three things that it's not. It's not anybody's airplanes flying around. It doesn't appear to be anything natural. You can't rule it out completely. It's just when you get into these kind of things, you just want to give them as much information as you can. The more information you get, the better the investigator is. The more information you have, the better the conclusion is going to be. So just a word of advice, get out there, and we always tell you too, if you can, everybody has their digital cameras now, but bring an analog camera, get like a Kodak, one of them store ones with Kodak 400, if you can, Kodak Fast 800, ultra speed. So bring it out there with you. That way, if you're shooting it with the one camera, somebody else can be shooting with the other camera, and you have both, because it's a lot harder to hoax film than it is digital. Digital is easy to hoax. Films takes a little bit more effort, and a lot of times you can find out if it has been hoaxed. So just another way to help back up what it is you're seeing or not seeing or think you're seeing or whatever it could be out there in the world. I don't really know. Jamie, where the hell are you at? Oh, I don't see you. Well, you're not in the chat on LinkedIn. You're not. Oh, okay. Never mind. I see. Never mind. No, I didn't see it. Never mind. Well, no, I didn't see you in this little chat thing on StreamYard, but now I realize where you are. It took me a second to realize where you are. No, actually, we're going to be talking about, how do you know you've been abducted? How do you know? I was just giving people reference for when they're doing sighting work to help themselves. Especially if you can judge time and distance and height, it really does help to eliminate a lot of things. That leaves you with, wow, what the hell is this? Because you can tell it's under intelligent control. So if it's not us, then what is it? And if you can rule out all the us's, which you can do eventually, you can do nowadays with laptops and cell phones, you can do it almost instantaneously. It's really makes UFO hunting more interesting. It also takes the fun out of some of it because, some things you could see and wonder for days and weeks, and now you can look at it and go, oh no, there was such and such flight headed to NASA. Damn. Or it was headed to Norfolk or somewhere like that. So, it takes the fun out of it. Friday nights, yes. The Centralist, yes. I'm way calmer. What are you talking about? No, indeed not. Stop it. Actually, somebody the other day was just bitching about how nice I've gotten in my old age. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. You think not, huh? Anyway, let's get to the subject at hand. I get letters all the time and emails and stuff, and from time to time when I'm out traveling, somebody will come up to me and say, am I being abducted? And I'm thinking, well, you should know that more than I should, right? Really? Anyway, so I always ask them, well, why do you think you might be being abducted? And they're like, well, and they'll go off with a list of different things. Sometimes it's a pretty good list, and sometimes you're kind of like, and that makes you think you're being abducted. But some people really have this sixth, seventh sense about them that they know something's going on. They can sense it's going on, but they can't quite put their finger on it. So then usually what happens is it starts to manifest in dreams. Usually dreams that are just out of the norm for your everyday dream scheme, I guess is the best way to say it. For the most part, you really don't dream about things that you haven't seen or heard or picked up on. Now, by saying that, let me clarify some stuff. You see a lot of stuff, and your brain can meld faces together. So just because you may have not seen that particular scheme, your mind may have put, like overlaid two faces, and now you have one. So you have to be careful with that kind of stuff, because there's other things that can make you think, other states of shock that can make you think or blame an extraterrestrial contact when it's not. So we really want to only make sure the people who have been contacted are really getting the help they need, the things that we can do for them, things any research or organization can do for them. We really want them to be able to get out there and give these people help and help these people to give us help. And what I mean by that is, each abductee and contactee has a piece of the puzzle. They may relate to an alien in a certain way. They may know something particular about an extraterrestrial that somebody else missed. These days we got a lot of cases on file. And at one time, right now, currently, I think it's 121,000 cases in the computer in the mainframe, and out of that, 102 have been investigated by someone in the organization. Of course, the organization is 25 years old, 23 years old, sorry. And at different times, we have different amounts of investigators. A lot of times, we have quite a few. And in the early days, we kept, 15, 16. No, not 15, 16 people. No, usually it was about 150 to 200 investigators running around, and then another 1,000, 1,200 people doing other things. And these days, like India right now is our biggest part of ICAR. It's much larger than the United States share. There's about 1,600 members over there, 1,700 members. Well, I'm going to put it this way. There's about 1,700 working members over there and about 6,000 members in general. Yeah, out of 1.2 billion people, yes, but still. U.S. right now, we have probably about 5,000 members, 6,000 members. Somewhere around there. Worldwide, somewhere in the 50, 60, maybe 65,000 members. It goes up and down. It does. It varies. The highest I've ever seen it was 125. The lowest I've ever seen it was about 20,000. So somewhere around 65 right now. But those are a lot of those members are in name only. What I mean by that is they pay attention to what's going on. And hold on a second. Sorry, that was the alarm system going off. Yes, how you like that alarm system, huh? Yes. I had to get somebody in the front studio to turn off the alarm system. I'm just giving you a hard time. But when people come to me, a lot of times they're like, Joe, I get this weird feeling, this sense of another me or something else that's going on, or another life, or I seen people, or I know people, or I sense people that I don't know here, but I know these people just as well as I know people here, but I don't know where they are. And it's weird because people, and these people are very serious when they're telling me this. They'll give me descriptions of the individuals they're talking about, the way they dress, the way they talk, the way they act, if they've got accents or not. It's a very strange thing. And what's even stranger, because when we travel as a group, when ICAR travels as a group, which we haven't done in about 5 or 6 years, I don't know, about 8 years actually now. When we do, a lot of these contactees come in and meet people and talk, and they'll recognize each other. It's just so crazy to see this. And I've seen it at least 100 times now. It's freaky. These people like instantly recognize each other, but they don't know each other in this life, but they do know each other. So it's strange. And I know a lot. And when you sit at the table with them and you listen to them talk, these are like people who have been friends for 20 or 30 years that really, really know each other intimately. It's strange. And it's crazy, but it also shows that there's something going on there that isn't from within this life cycle or inside of our everyday state of being. When you're on board the ship, I guess it's different. Time works differently there anyway. You can live weeks there for only days that pass here. Sometimes it can be hours, and 2 or 3 weeks will pass there. I have no idea how they manage time or even how time operates for them. It does not operate the way it works for us, obviously. And we've got lots of examples of that over the years, Yeah, people being gone for 6 or 7 hours, coming back with 3 weeks worth of hair growth. Just weird stuff, Oh, or people who will be gone like 4 hours and come back with like 2 months worth of memories, and you're just sitting there listening, and they're just talking and talking and talking, and they're just information. You got to turn the mic. You got to have it recording because you're not going to catch even a quarter of what they're saying. It's just they're just talking. It's just like pouring out of them. It's almost like a faucet that you can't turn off. And hypnosis. That's why a lot of times when we do hypnosis, we do a closing session at the end, which just helps you not to keep that flowing. And some people want it to flow because they just want to try to get it out, whatever it is. But it can be, disabilitating in some ways, distracting in other ways. It just depends on who you are, what you are, what kind of person you are, how you deal with this and cope with this. But a good just a couple of days ago, a friend of mine writes to me. She lives out in California, and she writes to me. She goes, Joe, I've been listening to you talk for years and years, and she goes, I always thought you were a crazy bastard, which just cracks me up. And she goes, but I've been having these dreams. She said, and there's some reason I want to listen to you, and there's some reason that I'm attracted to what y'all do. And I was like, well, and so she started telling me about her dreams, and I was like, very interesting. And she starts going on and on and on about her dreams, and I for me, it's kind of like it's like keyword or alphabet soup or something. It's when I'm listening to everything they're saying because I'm listening for the details, but I'm also listening for things that I've heard other contactees say. And what's interesting about it is sometimes a contactee will say almost word for word, identically what this one is saying. It creeps me out sometimes. It's really weird, but it also says that there is something, again, going on with these individuals outside of this life cycle. A good friend of mine who's a Southern preacher down here, he runs actually, he's not even down here anymore. He's in the heartland. He runs like the big chunk of the United States, this Baptist church. And I've been knowing this guy for, I don't know, 20, 25 years. He goes, his handle online is Southern Cross. And he's a very interesting gentleman. He's very holy man, very religious guy, but he believes in extraterrestrials. Not because he didn't when he met me. He was, all I can say is a big pain in my ass is what he was. Him and the bad astronomer used to drive me crazy. But fortunately for me, I can defend myself. But over the years of listening and the things he's seen and things that have told him to expect or happen and how our society was going to change accordingly because of this stuff, for him, it's hard to deny it now because he's actually watched it unfold in front of us, which is amazing to him. He's not the only one. I know quite a few religious people now that are pretty much hard believers in extraterrestrial life. And I've talked about my interaction with the Monsignor Balducci and the astronomer from Vatican City and two other people from Vatican City. One was a cardinal and one was I can't remember what he was now, but all four of them told me the same thing. It's just they believe that extraterrestrials do exist and that they're on a higher spiritual level than we are. First time I heard that, I like to fell out my chair. Paula Harris was translating from Monsignor Balducci and myself because we were having this conversation. And he just said it, and I said, "Are you sure that's what he said?" Because I don't speak any Italian. Yes, I am Italian, but I don't speak Italian. And he must have understood that part because he repeated it, and I was like, "No, get away!" It just came out of my mouth. It falls. I can't say it like that. I started laughing, but I was like, I wasn't. I got to be totally honest. I was not expecting that. I was expecting him to say that, yes, the Vatican does know that there is extraterrestrial life and has known for a long time. That is something I learned a long time ago. But this, I wasn't expecting this. So that's why when I got to meet the astronomer back in, oh God, it's like 98, 90, I don't know, somewhere mid to late 90s, I got to meet him. And I was in DC actually. It might even been like 2009 or 2010. I was up going at one of Stephen Bessett's things, and the X conference, and I think it was the last one actually. And I met this guy, and I was like, we got to talk, and he wasn't even there for that; he was there for something else. And we got to talk, and I just asked him. Actually, I didn't ask him. I told him what the Monsignor had told me, and he just said, "Yes, that's essentially what we think." He said, if you're millions or billions of years older than us, you have to be closer to God. You have to have a better one. He said, either going to be way on the other end, like the demon or something, or you're going to have to be spiritually closer. And I was like, okay, I'm not exactly sure how that logic works, but hey, I was surprised and it caught me off guard. And then I was in Atlanta, Georgia in 2012, and I was introduced to a cardinal there at a the hell you call it, when everybody's going around to get money. Give me some money. Give me some money. I'm sorry. My brain just went. But anyway, I met him there, and I was sitting there with a friend of mine talking, and he had came and sat down next to her and started talking to her. And we were just chit-chatting, and she looked over at him and said, my friend here believes that aliens are real. And I said, why'd you have to go say that? Come on, it's a nice dinner party. Everybody paid big money to be here. I'm thinking, oh no. And I just figured he's going to go off on me, right? Because you never know where this is going to go. Because not everybody actually probably knows what the Vatican believes, even in the church. And he said, no, no, no. And he goes on about how it's essentially true that the Vatican does believe that extraterrestrials are on a higher spiritual level than us. Now, they're not saying every extraterrestrial, so I don't know if they know particular ones that are, or maybe some kind of interaction in the past. I'm not exactly sure where that comes from, but so far I've had 4 people in pretty decent positions in the Vatican tell me, directly from the Vatican, tell me that they believe that they have a higher interaction. And recently it was put to the Pope, and Pope said, yes, they would be God's creatures too. So he didn't even try to make fun of it, or he was a Jesuit too. I was surprised, like, oh no, yeah, don't freaking yell it. This is us. No, but he wasn't. So I was just kind of surprised. So it really just helps now for this to be more accepted. People still don't want to talk to people who said they've been abducted by aliens. It still has a stigma. I used to say all the time, it's like coming out of the closet when you're an abductee and you're coming in the public. It's hard to deal with. I mean, if you got to work for a company or work for a group coming out and saying in public, hey, I've been abducted by aliens, it can make you, well, like I said, it's a stigma. So a lot of people just don't want to go there. They would just rather keep it private. And it's hard to trust an organization to keep it private. Some organizations, I'm not going to mention any names, have problems keeping things private. Sometimes really good experiences turn into books. Yes, that the person don't get any money from, by the way. Yeah, it's just sad. But it's happened a lot over the years. I've seen it more than a dozen or so times where someone took their contact experience to an organization and it ended up into a book that the contactee didn't get anything out of. That's just really and truly pathetic is what that is. But the experiences are out there, and we need to keep it going like that. So it's when we go across all the way across, when we change directions across to go to the opposite side of this for a minute. So some people, when they hear that someone's been abducted or contacted, instantly get angry, instantly get mad. Like, it can't be, and I hate you, and it's not true, and you're evil, and blah, 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 blah. Excuse me. I'm like, really, why? Why does it have to be demonic if someone's being taken? I don't understand that. See, when people tell me shit like this, it aggravates me because really, I would think Satan had more and better things to do than fly around in spaceships screwing with people. Because it's not that large of a segment of it would be one thing if everybody in the damn planet was having this experience. And I say, okay, well, maybe he's got a plan, but it's not that large of a segment of the population. And they're not angry against society. It's not like they want to go out and kill anybody or destroy anything. They're usually people that tend to get enlightened over the years in a much better way. And they move away from being religious and become spiritual. So it's a different kind of folks. Now, there are these people who go a little overboard with the spirituality, which I'm not hating. I know y'all are all looking for your extra seat on wherever we're going on the other side. But, sometimes it can be disabilitating in this life. And I imagine when you get on the other side, you are judged by how you do things over here. So just keep that in mind when you're, I'm being serious. Well, if you get displaced, hold on, let me fix this. If you get displaced or you find yourself like apart from someone, that means you were picked up and put back. It's not even that they pushed you. They usually just zap you and then zap you back. The problem is the way time works in and the way time works here. You could have been up there 30, 40, 50, 60 minutes and then put back as far as your little brain worked. And I don't mean this in a bad way. Not about your brain. It's just we're humans. Our brains are like, okay, well, nothing really happened. It was just like a flash or a poof or what the hell, some kind of weird shit pushing me around, air. And then our minds have a tendency to grasp onto things. Like there could be a dirt devil involved that became something else, or our brain or look at something like a blur. I don't know how to explain it. It's like a blur in the air movement. Like you can see the air, but it looks like the air is moving. Maybe there's some kind of coloration into it or something, but it seems to be moving in some kind of way. We can turn that into a lot of things, and a lot of times it's exactly what we saw, and a lot of times it's not. And how the hell do we know which one is which? Well, usually when people are sober and not on drugs, it's usually the latter. Sorry. I'm sorry, just seen that comment. Anyway, I apologize. All angels are extraterrestrials. Well, I can go with that, Justin. Look, what is the definition of an angel? What is the definition of extraterrestrial? So, if you ever get a chance to read Hitler's book, Mein Kampf, you'll notice he talks about fair-haired, blue-eyed angels who used to come talk to him in the middle of the night. Yes. So, knowing this cracks me up because the description of a human-type alien is fair-haired, blonde-skinned, blue-eyed, blonde hair, blue-eyed, angelic-like beings with larger heads. I don't know. Are they angels? Are they extraterrestrials? Hell, I wasn't there. I don't know. I don't even want to speculate because I really don't know. Well, my problem with all of this is we can only judge shit by what we know. So 2,000 years ago, you seen some guy performing what looked like miracles, but today those miracles can be reproduced by man. So are they really miracles? Or were they something else? That's always been the problem. And that doesn't just work for when we talk about Jesus. That works for all the gods and past gods. We don't know. I would imagine the Roman and Greek gods are probably the same gods, and they were probably freaking extraterrestrials. I would put even money on that. I mean, they just sound like they are. It depends what religion you believe in. And I'll say this, like I say, and I said this, if I had $1 for every time I said this, I could be a wealthy man. I personally tell people, if it makes you feel as snug as a bug in the rug, then you should stick with it. If it gives you that sense of like something's wrapped around you and keeping you safe, you should stick with it, whatever it is. I'm not hating. I mean, it's a hard feeling to find. Well, first off, I'm not exactly a little guy, so it'd have to be like some monster thing wrapping around me and stuff. But getting back to while we're here, when these abductees come to me or contactees come to me or anybody in the organization or in behalf of anybody we know who sends us people, which quite a few people do, it's a scary kind of feeling when you meet one that you know is real, that this is really going on in their life, and they're just grasping for anything. They're really, truly not wanting to know what this is. They do, but they don't, because once they know it's an alien abduction, then they have to come to terms with it. And how do you deal with it? I mean, how do you wake up in the morning and go to work or feed the kids or watch your television, do anything? How do you do anything after you know someone just took you for how many ever hours or how many ever days, and then God knows whatever to you, and then put you back? How do you deal with that? How do you cope with that? What is the coping mechanism for that? Friends, family, other people who have had this happen. Yeah, it's like AA, like Alcoholics Anonymous. You need a coping mechanism. You need help. You need friends. You need people who understand. I got involved with this, and I'm not going to lie. I got involved with this because I thought these people were batshit crazy. Yeah, the first person who told me they had been abducted by aliens, I looked at them like, gee, whatever. And I was like 19 at the time or 20. I was in the military, but by the way, everybody I met in the military, all the pilots I met in the military, all the pilots I met in the military had seen a UFO. They used to talk about it in the line checks all the time, which I thought was interesting. But I was 18. What did I give a shit? I was busy doing other stuff in life. I'm back on leave. I'm 20, and it's around the time I met my wife, actually. And this woman I know who's she used to be a politician. And was getting ready to become a politician again. She owned a big dental group, and she was friends with my mom, and she was running, and she was winning, and I'm just sitting there, and I've been knowing this woman since I was like 12, and I'm like I said, I'm 20, and I'm good looking, I'm Navy, I'm ripple and bustle, and we started talking, and she said, you kind of remind me of one of the human guys with the big arms that hold me down when this goes on. And I just, first off, I looked at this woman like, are you fucking kidding me? Really? I don't know her from Bean. I know her from Bean, but I didn't know this from Bean. I just, I've been knowing this woman. She used to come to Christmas parties and dinners and all sorts of stuff. She did all my dental work. I was like, okay. And then she goes into detail. And I think she just needed somewhere to vent. But I didn't even know what to say. And I didn't want to say she was batshit crazy because my mom would have batshit crazed me up a wall, even though, it's like 4 times her size. So it wouldn't have mattered. That's my friend. I can just hear it now. But so I said, is there any way to prove it? And she's like, no, I've tried. And I said, well, give me some ideas of how it takes place. And then she talked me, and then, whatever was going on at the night, the party that night, everybody went their ways. And I went back to the Navy, and I come home. I'm getting out for reserve duty. I'm getting out, and I'm going to a party with some friends of mine, and she's there with some friends of theirs. And she comes up and she says, hey, can I talk to you again? So I go sit down and we're talking. And she starts telling me about some other things that have happened to her. Now, this is the truth. My friends thought I was making time with this woman because she's a very attractive woman. I'm thinking, how can I get away from this woman? I'm not even kidding y'all. So I'm like, okay, no, I got to get away. So anyway, she tells me quite a lot of interesting stories. And the whole time I'm thinking, if this gets out, her career's ruined. She's in office now. And I'm thinking, wow, she'd be out of office, probably into bankrupt, laughing stock of the city. Why would she tell me this? And why me? So about 3 weeks later, I'm up in the city, uptown New Orleans. And I was going by a friend of mine's house who they were having some kind of art gathering, which I hated going to. But he was a friend and he was whining. You gotta come, you gotta come, you gotta come, you gotta come. So I'm like, all right, yeah, sounds boring to me. And I grew up hunting and fishing and stuff like that. So it's a little hard sometimes to just sit around and just look at art. I like art and I like to see art, but sometimes I just don't want to sit and watch boring art. Some art's entertaining, some art is like, oh my God. But anyway, so we get there and we talk. So he introduces me to his new wife. It's very beautiful, very, very elegant woman. I'm thinking, damn, did you get lucky, boy? And, and I think it's 21 at the time. And I'm thinking, damn, this boy got lucky. He's got a good career going. I'm thinking, oh, man. And we're talking. And she says, have you ever heard anybody say anything about alien abductions? I'm like, what the? I did. I almost bit my lip. And I'm like, and I wanted to say yes, but the other side of me said, Joe, don't go there. And I said, well, I've heard stories and blah, blah, and that was it. She spent the next hour telling me about this, which what caught my attention, it sounded a lot like the other lady, Carol, who told me this. The reason I'm telling y'all this, I want to give you a basis for where our data started out with these groups and with MUFON is where all this started at for me, which was way longer than I even want to admit to how long ago it was. Way longer than I've been on radio, I can tell you that. And so I'm talking to a friend of mine. I'm like, why does this keep happening to me? So we're out in the club. We're getting drunk, snot-faced, shit-faced. We got reserve duty coming up in a day, so we are just getting ripped. And meet this girl. We're talking, just chit-chatting. And I'm not kidding you. I'm not kidding you. 10 minutes in a conversation, she starts telling me about, have you ever heard about anybody being alien abducted? Do you think I'm crazy because it could have happened to me? Now I'm thinking, don't want to go here with this girl or not. Because first off, I was thinking, ooh, she hot. But it just threw me off completely. I didn't even know what to think about it. So then I said, oh, you know what? I went home. The next morning I got up. I started talking to some of my friends. I said, I'm going to start looking into this. Lo and behold, was I a dumbass? Because here I am, how many millions of years later, still looking into it. The more questions and the more people I met, the more questions I had. The more answers I got, which just led to more questions. Now, some of the answers were satisfying, but they still led to more questions. So, question one, how do you know you're being taken by aliens? Well, you got to prove it to yourself, or you have to wake up in the middle of a contact. So, first, you know what a waking dream is. You got to separate it and understand that you can wake yourself up out of a dream. You can wake yourself up out of sound sleep. So, you have to teach yourself to whatever it is that sets you off. Something touching your arm, something touching your leg, something foreign to your body, something that feels intrusive. This is for men or women, by the way. You have to focus on those to see if you can trace it back to its source. If you feel something cold or wet or tacky or whatever, squeezing on your arm or something, you want to be able to concentrate on it. You want to see if you can see it. You want to see if you can sense or smell anything, hear anything. You want to track down every bit and piece of information just from that one squeeze that you can, because each one of these pieces will help you to understand that something happened to you. The other thing about coming public is there's always a chance that you could get military abducted, and we'll talk about that in a little while. But getting back to the sensory parts of this, so for most 75, 85% of abductees who are now contactees, it starts out in their dreams. Sometimes it's even almost a waking dream, like you're walking through your house and it's almost like you see something. You even kind of feel like you're somewhere else for a moment. It's a very weird thing for people, but still they sense this, and it usually, though, you start to see it in the dreams, and the dream part, certain things manifest, okay, to a lot of the 70s, 80s, and even mid 90s. So a lot of the women who'd go see the gynecologist would write to us afterwards, because the stirrup chair flipped them out, completely flipped them out, because wherever they were being taken to, there was a chair like it there. It was actually, it had 8 chairs. It was a round thing with 8 chairs. But now, a lot of times when I get descriptions of these, they sound like they're stainless steel or metal, which suggests that there may be ET involved, but the technology seems to be ours. Because the other 3 races don't really use like stainless steel. They use different types of stuff. Matter of fact, they all use something different, to be honest with you. The Greys have the way they do it. The Reptilians have the way they do it. And the Humans have the way they do it, which the Reptilian human, it's actually abduction criteria, by the way. Yes. Mm-hmm. But we told everybody about how the Grey did it. So, but anyway, it seems like sometimes there will be aliens there, or the redheaded doctor will be there, which is a show by itself. The redheaded doctor is manifest in so many people's dreams. It's not even funny. A lot of these exams are performed. It, whatever you want to call it, sounds like a hybrid of some sort. I'm not even sure what sort it is, because a lot of times it has a mask on its face, of course, which would mean nothing in today's society, right, with COVID. But still, it's creepy, weird. He does gynecological exams. He checks for the baby. Sometimes they'll remove the baby and deposit the baby somewhere else. Or sometimes when it's within the first 4 or 5 weeks, they'll actually take the baby out of the mother's womb and put it back. Technology far beyond anything we have. They could try to alter it. But sometimes the hybrid is too much of a hybrid, and it can't be allowed into human society. See, they're actually breeding what we would call host bodies or husk bodies. Husk for the contactees that are being taken for whatever reasons. The ones that have death contracts, I guess, is the best way to say it. Death contract is when you die, they come retrieve your soul, your essence, your energies, whatever you want to call it, the plasma that is you, the electricity that is you, whatever it is. They have the ability to upload your consciousness into a new body, your full consciousness. Of course, they've been doing it for millions of years, but it's something they can do for us now. And the host bodies, of course, are upgraded bodies from the ones we have now. So, I mean, you hear about these all the time, and a lot in the 80s and late 70s through all the 80s, you kept hearing about these ships with rows and rows and rows and rows of these bodies. Yeah, well, oh, you mean why don't we hear about them? Because the ships are being used now. Yeah, well, a lot of these people have died or passed on, so some of those ships may have been filled and moved out. That's a good question, and we don't know. Some of them we think when their consciousness is uploaded, it's instant and they're awake and doing whatever. Some of them probably are in held, and they don't even have to keep the consciousness in the body. They can keep it separate. They can even put it like in a holodeck or something like that, or they can just keep it in storage. I know it kind of bites, but they do seem to have the ability to do all of this. But for some reason, these are humans they want to keep. They want to use in the future, in their future, not our future. Well, a lot of them will be together. There'll probably be colonies of humans in several locations. But some of them are going to be for whatever they're being designed to be used for. Well, some humans show different aptitudes for different things while on board the ships. The way people become keepers or communicators or things along that line for the aliens is because somewhere in their 30s, usually, or in their late 20s, they showed an aptitude that, first off, they could understand a lot of what was going on around them. And secondly, they weren't crazy scared every time they saw an extraterrestrial. A lot of them took to helping the children. A lot of them took to helping other contactees. Those are keepers. They work on board the ships and help all the transits, all the people, all the migrants, all the people coming in and out of the craft, all the people who have been taken, whatever age group they may be. That's their job. And then there's the communicators and other people that are out there making people aware that they are here. But let me explain. They're not out there trying to make the average Joe understand this. They're out there looking for other contactees. Yes. This is a little bit on the arrogant side, a little on the rude side, but they don't really care about people who are not contactees, because these are family groups. These are people who, whenever this happened, started way back thousands, hundreds of thousands, even millions of years ago. Nobody knows for sure, but whenever this started, or whatever the original 100,000 or million or 5 million people were that were originally abducted, these are family lines from them. So the further you go back, the more of them they are today. So those, they abduct in the family lines. They don't just take somebody randomly off the street for no reason one time. There's no such thing as a one-time abduction. These start at usually pre-birth and run until death. And in some cases, like we just said, after death. And not everybody's taking all the time. Some abductees, for some reason or another, in their late 20s or early 30s, they stop getting abducted. Unless they have children. And then they still don't get abducted other than when they're coming to get the kid. Yeah, because that's all they're after is the kids. Yeah, it pisses you off knowing they're taking your kid, but still. But, some people just are not needed, or that generation's not what they're looking for. Whatever it is they're doing, they have lots of time to do it, and they seem to have been doing it for a long time. So these generations keep, rolling over each other and rolling over each other and rolling over each other. And what's really strange about that is, so gray abductees and human abductees and reptilian abductees, all these children have now started interbreeding with each other. So a gray abductee's child may be sleeping with a reptilian. They may have a child which may be sleeping with a human. That human may have a child which may sleep with a gray, and so on and so forth. So we don't even know what they're breeding here anymore. I don't even think they know what they're breeding anymore. I just think they know that it's going to be fascinating in the long run. They're just hoping it's not something that's going to wipe them out of existence. Well, it seems like originally humans were created as a slave race. If you go by what the Sumerians talk about, and the reptilians talk about, the human aliens talk about, then it seems like the human race was a slave race. It was created to help mine and do things on the planet and get things ready to be transported and stuff like that. The humans created them with the 7 creations of man, according to the Sumerians, with the last creation being like our distant cousins. They weren't sentient in the way we are, so it's a different thing. They were sentient in a different way. But anyway, those people forward, eventually the reptilian interbred with them, and their children interbred with them, and then that eventually the Gray's children interbred, and then you really came up with the species you have today. And then somewhere along the line, RH negative popped into being, somewhere around 35,000 years ago. Poof, magically, RH negative didn't exist for 2 million years, but all of a sudden, boom, what up, Mother Nature? What's this about? So that's another show too. But so another way, by the way, that we track contactees. It's why it was invented, to help us find contactees. It always amazes me when I hear people talk about it who try to act like it's their theory or work with it, and they don't even know why the hell it was made, why we decided to do it, what was its goal, its purpose, what were we actually looking for. We were looking for shortcuts to find contactees. We were looking for ways to find random groups so we could study the group and see if there was ways to tell inside those particular groups that they were contactees. We really thought it was going to be like A positive and O positive were going to be like 60% of it, but it wasn't. So it was well, I'd just say it was strange to say the least. But so you have these dreams, you start waking up at night, you're waking up in the morning, you're telling your spouse, you know, honey, I think I'm being taken by aliens. Your wife's looking at you like, yeah, boy, yeah, really? Let's go see my uncle. You know, he's a psychiatrist, and let's see what he has to say. You know, today, though, you might get a psychiatrist that might go, well, he might be being taken by aliens. So, but anyway, you know, this drove people to go underground, to hide from it, to try not to look for it, to try not to understand it, not to try to keep it out of their lives. One of the things we teach abductees is how to incorporate this into your life, because it's part of your life and it's a lifelong thing. Unless you're one of the ones that get dropped, and if you do, grateful to you, and you don't have to worry about it anymore. But for the rest of them, it's not. It's a lifelong thing, and there are advantages to it. Remember, they don't take anybody. If you're not, when you know you're being taken, you know for a fact that you're at least empathic, more than likely telepathic, but at least empathic. So these abilities you can use in your everyday life. I use them. I know a lot of people who use them. What do you mean? Just because you're a telepath don't mean you're a contact? Yeah, I disagree with that. I don't think random people have a latent telepathic abilities. And I can prove it. I've done many tests on this. It's not even a hard thing to do. Anybody can do this. Print you out a sign that says psychic testing being done today. Okay. Go to a mall, ask permission, and it's a 2-card test. It's just child's play. Red and blue, yellow and green, green and red, whatever colors you feel like using. You put them down. You look at the individual, then you say, okay, I'm going to see if you can read my mind or if I can think it over to you. So the red's on the right, the yellow's on the left. Guy goes, red on the left. And red on the left. So what happens is they don't even get 50-50 most of the time. That's what freaks me out. You know, I had talked to a few people who have done this kind of testing before, and it's, if you sit there and flip a coin, most humans will not get it right 50-50. You'll get it right 35, 65, 40, 60, stuff like that, but they rarely get it 50-50. Hardly anybody gets it over 50-50 unless you're, well, in that case, you would be a clairvoyant. Well, if you knew where the quarter was going to land ahead of time, you'd be clairvoyant because you'd be seeing the future. So yes, that's a little bit different. But telepaths, you know, a good telepath, even a crappy telepath can sense the cards. It's interesting because, you know, you'll get somebody, this is a true story. We're doing this test, and this lady comes up with her 12-year-old daughter. And when she sits down, she says, can she do it? And I'm like, sure, why not? And sitting there with 2 other people, and I put the 2 cards down. Before I even said anything, she goes, blue, yellow. Picked them up and said, damn. So I got 2 different cards as I put them down. She goes, orange, purple, flipped them over. Like, this kid got every card right. She didn't miss any of the cards. It was weird. So we even bumped it up to 3 or 4. She was really good at it. And she was picking up, more than likely she was picking up on my thoughts, one of the other people's thoughts. But it was interesting to watch this kid because, you know, she had never been taught that this wasn't real, that this was bad. You know, it's a lot easier to believe in things when you're younger than when you're older. You know, you're taught telepath, that's nothing real. Come on, there's no such thing. Even though the U.S. Air Force and the U.S. Navy came out and said, oh, we have a telepath program. They closed a remote viewing and opened a telepath program. Oh, we're going to spend billions of dollars and it doesn't exist. I don't know. They must have found something that intrigued them somewhere along the line. And you notice you never hear anybody talk about it. It's always quiet. Like, shh, we don't have no telepaths. No. We're not listening to Putin's crazy ass. No, we're not. Shh, bang, no way. Sorry. It's just, you know, and more than likely, if they are an abductee or I mean, if they are a telepath, they're more than likely an abductee or a contactee. It's interesting because I noticed the people who do the military abductions use contactees, and what they find the ones that are willing to do stuff with them, and they work with them. Because if you can use sodium anethol, sodium pentothal on somebody with that can do like a hypnosis, of telepathic hypnosis, you can pretty much put anything you want in their head or erase anything you want in their head without any real damage or even much swish or wash for anybody to notice. Maybe that's why they wanted them. I think the main reason they wanted them was it's easier. So with a remote viewer, they could find like the launch site. They could even find the missile. but they really couldn't see the launch code. Well, you know what? The telepath can. Oh, hey, Howard, what you doing today? He's talking to guys. The guy looks down up there's the launch code. You got it. Yeah, well, abort code, whatever it might be. And telepaths can get in your head, so they can find stuff like that once they're in your head. So, is there a range? I doubt there's a range. I think the range would be the person's own belief in their own abilities. From people I've met over the years, that's my personal observation. There's no proof to it. Not as far as I know. There's no scientific proof to it now. There's none at all. So, like I said, going back to and manifesting your dreams and weird smells, weird sounds, weird sights sometimes just set you off. Things that would not normally bother you, like some rides where they shut like a cage door and you flips you out. Laying on a doctor's table flips you out. Like I said, getting in the stirrups flips you out. And when I mean flips you out, I mean flips you out. Oh yeah, if some of these kids, when they talk about some of this stuff, I mean they flip out. It's these are all signs that you've been taken. Now, some of these signs that you've been taken by the aliens, some of these signs have been taken by the government. But if you haven't come public and the government gets you, that means you've been in type of, at least have had therapy of some sort or been in a mental institution, one or other, because they track that. If someone comes in and says they've had contact like that, they track that out of computers. Oh yeah, they source that because they're looking for answers just like we are. They're trying to get to the truth. Why the aliens aren't telling them jack. They're like, you know what? We're here. There's not much you can do about it. Kiss my happy ass. That's pretty much how the Greys, reptilians, humans look at it. Well, that's even how tall whites out at Area 53 look at it. Like, what are you going to do? Really? What do you think, human? What are you going to nuke your own damn planet? It's not even going to phase us. So kill a bunch of humans. It's, they know they got us. Whatever they're doing here, they're doing. There's nothing we can do about it. I tell this to people all the time. They're not our friends, but they're not our enemies. They're really here. It's they're like, this is their agenda. It's not our agenda. And it's not about us per se. We're part of their agenda. But their agenda is a long-term, many human lifetimes. And they're just watching this go along. They're performing different kind of experiments. Now, from what I understand, things have been progressing as far as types of experiments. It seems like some of the old stuff they've gotten away from. There's other stuff they're doing. It also seems like because they track family lines for so long, they can actually observe how family works, how family system works, what you can expect, how much of this is taught behavior, how much of this is genetic behavior. Because, when you can watch the father and grandfather and great-grandfather and all the sons for 100 generations, you can kind of get an idea, what's genetic and what's not. Same thing with females. It really doesn't matter what sex you are. Just if you can see that far backward, and think about this, because the Greys have such a long lifetime, so do human reptilians. The guy that's working on you or the girl that's working on you could be the same one that worked on your great-grandfather removed 50 times. The one from 100,000 years ago or the one from 1,000,000 years ago. It could be the same Grey. Hell, he might be looking at you. You look like a lot like your great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather removed 100 times. Yes. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Look at that. Yeah, kind of like a replica or something. Is that a reincarnation? Are you the reincarnation and don't know it? Yes. Well, I guess they would know because they would get to watch. So they could tell you if reincarnation was real or not. They could tell you if it followed family lines, if it branched out and did other things. See, because they've been observing us that long. I know. I'm not going to get a sip here, guys. Wait, who said that? Coca-Cola does not pay me to drink their Cokes. I wish they did, but they don't. No, they don't love me. No, what can I say? Brandon, what's that about? Well, women a lot of times will become hypersensitive about a lot of things. Men will also, but men try to make it out to be something else because, okay, first off, no self-respecting man wants to think about an alien taking him and he was helpless. Okay. Not including anything else that may go on, but it's just one of those things that women can allow the emotion to come out easier than men can. Now that's changed in the last 50 years. I got to tell you, when we first got into this, the male to female abduction ratio was probably, for every 100 females, there was probably 10 males. Maybe, might not have been 10, it might have been 5. And through up until the 90s, this stayed true. And then all of a sudden, early 90s, it started changing. We started seeing more and more men coming forward about their experiences. And of course, their experiences, with the exception of some of the medical stuff, were almost identical to what the women experiences were. It was strange when you listened to them. And, all of a sudden it was more and more. But still today, it's about 70-30. It's about 30% of the males have come forward, about 70% of the females. Now, this isn't the amount of abductees or contactees on the planet. This is the people who have come forward, which somewhere to 1 to 2% of the abduction population have actually come forward, or know they've been taken, would be a better way of saying it. Yeah, so you can kind of see how large the population is. But, and again, they don't take everybody every day. So you say, well, abducted 1.5 billion people. That's a lot of people. Well, first off, out of that 1.5 billion people, probably 750 million of them haven't been taken and won't probably ever be taken again. Out of the rest, there's a lot of aliens, and there's a lot of ways to break it up. And not everybody gets taken every day for every reason. I mean, sometimes it's once a month. The older you get, unless you're a keeper, it starts to spread out. If you're a keeper, it stays true. It'd still be, every week or two, maybe every 3, depending on what your involvement is. But they've got a program. And the longer you stay with them, first off, the more information you get. Also, you get to see so much more stuff. You don't really hear about the preteens or the teenagers, or even the ones going through puberty, even the ones in their 20s, really talking about the big ships. You only really hear them talking about being taken, some of the stuff being done to them. Some of the younger kids remember being in playrooms, but they don't really remember the big ships. But man, the people in their mid-30s and up do. And they talk about these things, and they're fabulous. They're huge, larger than our moon. And they're just fabulous. From what I understand, they got every damn thing you can think of in them. Upside down waterfalls. Well, depends which point of view you're on, which side of the ship you're on, and which way you're coming up and down. There's no gravity in space, so it doesn't really matter. Well, I've heard, you mean like a Dyson sphere? I don't know if that's what they are, but I haven't heard anybody saying about suns inside of them. So, Dyson sphere would have a sun inside of them. It's the outer shell is where everybody lives. It's built around a small star. Oh, these sound more like just ships, just very large, massive crap. Well, the Greys grow their ships, so I don't know, even their big ones. Yeah, they have some type of, they're very advanced. And because of that, because they grow them, their ships seem to be sentient, and they seem to have some type of, the Greys seem to be in contact with them. It's almost like they're assigned to each other. Yeah, I don't know how to explain it. It's weird. Yeah, you know what, Crease? That's right. It sounds a lot like Babylon 5, like the Vorlons. It sounds a lot like that. Matter of fact, the very first time I ever saw Babylon 5 and I seen that, I was like, well, shit, this guy must be an abductee. Oh, I have no doubt that Gene Roddenberry was, or knew somebody who was. Steven Spielberg too. Spielberg, when he did that miniseries Taken for 10 weeks, there was stuff in there that had to come from someone inside one of the major organizations. Some of that stuff, he had to know somebody who really had been involved in it pretty deep, like the way the Greys move and the way they work. Because gravity doesn't affect the Greys anywhere. Doesn't matter where they are, space, ground, land. They go up the walls. It's like they're like ants almost. And they're very strong, way stronger than we are. A little 3.5 foot Grey is like, I don't know, 10 times stronger than we are. A big one, I don't even want to think about it. I don't know. They look frail and brittle to me, but they throw a man around like he's a potato sack. I'm 250. They toss me around like I'm a little puppy. No. So, I mean, when you're male or female and you go on doctor visits, you start getting creeped out about things that you're not normally scared of, like you're getting an MRI and it freaks you out, but it's not something you would usually be scared of. Start writing your dreams down. Get up in the morning, get a journal, put it on the side of your bed, and every morning before you do anything else, write it down. For a while, it'll seem like jibber jabber, but eventually some stuff will start making sense. You'll start to see a progression of things together, or keep section notes so that about events that happen in the dreams. That way, if you talk to an investigator, not an experienced investigator, he may be able to explain to you what's going on. The reason I say not experiences, you should always talk to experiences because you share experiences, but don't ever use an experience to judge your experience. And what I mean by that, it's like taking your artwork, like your son or your daughter giving you artwork. You're always going to think it's great. Even if it's not, you're always going to say it's great. But a real critic wouldn't. They'd say, no, you need to work on this. So it's the same thing. You want the investigator to talk to the contactee because they're looking at it from an investigation point of view and not from being taken. So that way, there's all the facts are getting out, not just the higgamarole, the bullshit, or whatever you want to call it. Because unfortunately, that happens a lot of times. Well, because the human mind and brain don't always understand what's going on, so we, how can I say this politely, make shit up. We just do. It's part of being in this. You just, well, it's like when you look at clouds, then you start looking, oh, look at that. Yeah, well, but it's your brain's just making shit up. None of it's real. It's just making shit up. So in these cases, you just got to be careful because some things we just don't understand. And we have to put it in a context that we do understand, which may not be a correct context of what's really going on. I'm just, I'm trying, asshole. But that's really the way it works. But I always look to your dreams first. It's write them down, pay attention to what's going on. And then next thing is senses and feelings. If things that not normally would bother you set you off, try to see why. Program it when you go to bed at night. Say, okay, why is this stainless steel table freaking me out so bad? What is it about stainless? Just keep asking the question over and over and over and over and over. And it's going to be in your brain. It'll pop out. Probably not going to like what you see, but it'll probably pop out. Well, in a Gray's case, it looks like water bubbling out of the floor. More like a liquid plastic. It looks like it comes bubbling out of the floor. It starts to make a column. It rises up about waist high. Well, if it's a 3-foot alien, it's actually shorter, but usually 5 or 6 foot in. So it's about waist high to a human. And then when it stops, and then it starts to spill over, and it stretches out, probably about 6.5 feet, maybe 7 feet long, and probably 24, 28 inches wide. And then they just kind of touch you, and you just float upward, lay down on it. And as soon as your body makes full contact, it bubbles up around your entire body, and instantly it goes in your ears, your eyes, your nose, everywhere. But you can breathe. You're not dying. You're not choking. You're not smothering. You're not hot or cold. It just has you there. You're not moving and going anywhere, but it has you there. And then usually, I don't know what you'd call it, a device comes out of the wall. The walls are smooth too, so it's weird. So the Gray just looks at the wall, and then a hole opens up and this thing comes out. And as the thing gets closer and closer to the table, more and more little gadgets come out on this little thing. Until finally it gets over you and these little tentacle things come out. They go up your nose and the sides of your eyes and your ears and your mouth, down your throat, and other places we don't want to mention on the radio. Now, I've never really heard this happen to anybody more than once, but it does seem to happen a lot. I mean, at least it does seem to happen to almost all the contactees and abductees somewhere, usually in their 20s somewhere. Doesn't sound like a pleasant experience, but they do use that table for other things when they bring you in to hold you down. Whatever this plasma is, it's completely interactive with you. It doesn't harm you in any way. And most people, just like the blue plasma, that say they feel rejuvenated when they get out of the plasma field. Maybe it's a side effect of it. I don't know. It's a good side effect or whatever it is. Well, the blue plasma, they say when humans have rough abductions or have rough training, they immerse them in the blue plasma to help them regenerate faster. There's lots of stuff about the blue plasma. They say it's fuel for the Gray ships. It's a self-replicating fuel. It grows. It feeds the ship, but somehow it feeds itself off the ship. It well and grows. The Grays can use it as food. They just absorb it like an osmosis through their skin. It's one of the reasons we didn't realize in the beginning why we'd get the same facial body descriptions of Grays, but sometimes it would be this color, that color. By the way, none of them are gray. Or this color, that color, the other color. And we couldn't figure out why. Well, for the gray ones, what would you call the gray ones? when they're just feed, they look like a very rich, deep cobalt blue, almost glowing kind of cobalt blue. And then as it goes out, they become kind of gray looking, and then they become kind of clear, almost looking, whitish clear. But they have three true colors, which is blue, white, and brown. Was abduction criteria forever. And they generally have about three sizes, well, really four if you count the queen. They seem to have the 3-foot guys who are 3.5 foot. They got the ones that are 5 to 6 foot. They have what we call a 7. They're 7.5 feet, maybe even 8 feet. They're like escorts to the queen. And then there's a queen, and she's somewhere around 9 foot. That's just a general description that several abductees and contactees have given. But the problem is, I don't think they've ever seen it physically. I think they just were in a Gray's head and saw it. Yeah, I don't think they've actually. Yeah, would you let some crazy human up by your queen? I'm just thinking about that. You know, why would the queen be here and not wherever they're from? It just, Well, we know with the reptilians, they have genetic memory. So we know that contactees experience genetic memory sometimes. They have dreams of events. They know they were there, but they weren't actually there because they couldn't even been there. It was an event that happened, thousands of years ago, hundreds of years ago. Just weird and strange stuff like that. But abductees have a hard time because when this first starts manifesting, you just, who do you tell? Who do you talk to? Is there any real answers on the internet? And there are some. Beware of charlatans, beware of idiots, beware of people who want to make money off of you. But there are answers out there. But, once the dreams start and once the manifestations of weird stuff starts where, things are setting you off or scaring you or making you jumpy or whatever, and then you start having these synchronicities of sights, sounds, and smells, clocks, every time you look at them are certain numbers. They're always on whatever 222, 111, 333. No matter what time you look at them, they're always there. There's just a lot of little things that start to click in. You'll start sensing things. You'll be walking down a hallway or walking into a walkway where it's like this weird tunnel, and it'll set off a memory or a dream. Things like that. Generally, either you're going crazy or you've had contact, one or the other. Should you go to a psychologist, that is your call. Because most psychologists are going to think you're nuts. You could be nuts. That's the problem. You really could be. Or you could be a contactee or an abductee. So, most contactees and abductees lead normal everyday lives. That's one of the things we'll talk about real quick is learning how, once you come to terms with this, once you know this is happening to you, the next phase is just really incorporating this into your everyday life. Understanding that this could happen at any time and that things are going to get weird. But, depending on what age you are, it might even be a good kind of weird. So they take you, you go do your business, they bring you back, and you're back to everyday life. It's two lives. It's a double life. But you can learn how to live both. And by learning how to live both, you're allowed to retain much more information from the other. Well, some things that they would not normally let you remember, they may let you remember because you're not a threat anymore. They don't think you're going to run to the government and say, oh, no. They know actually you're not, so they don't worry about it. They know that you really are working for whatever these agendas that they're working for. You're actually working towards that. So they allow you to remember more. And when you're on the ships, you're allowed to remember way more. Well, one of the problems for humans is we have a little tiny brain. Just compared to the galactic, okay? Eventually, ours will get there, but right now it's a little tiny brain compared to theirs. So for us, not just us and other species, when they're on board the ships, you have storage on the ship's computers. Well, the storage for them is anything you want. You can learn anything you want. You can be uploaded or downloaded into your brain instantly. So you can even take something out, put something in, like if you need a special skill for something, but your brain is like clogged up, you can actually have something removed, put this in, and then remove it and put the other one back. For Greys, it's just a place to access stuff because their brain's way bigger than ours and they don't really need it. But for us and other alien races, it's a cool thing. And well, we got a huge a couple of terabytes, but a couple of million terabytes, but still, it fills up fast in our lifetime. There's lots of stuff, little things, flicker a light, watching a candle, having dinner, all that stuff is in your memory. it's fond memories for you and fun, but it's taking a valuable, data space that you could be using and learn how to fly a spaceship or something. So, speaking of that, someone could have told me that you could go immerse yourself in Star Wars at Disney now. So you can check into the Disney space, to the Star Wars store cruiser, get on board the cruiser, get a room, get in costume. They have all kind of stuff going on in the cruiser and stuff. Yeah, the evil people board the cruiser and stuff. That sounds pretty cool, man. So for 2 people in a king suite, for 2, it's 48 hours. That's how it's set for. They bring you. You land you get to the space dock. You get in. You got to be in by 4. You get on board the landing craft. The craft that takes you up to the spaceship. It flies you up to the spaceship. You hop in the spaceship. You go get checked into your room. They got dinner and all kind of stuff throughout the days and stuff. And they have events all the time going on. Storyline. They got a couple of robots you can check in with. The bed. The rooms are cool. It's a cool little setup. You got windows in your bedroom so you can look out into space and stuff. I know. So 2 nights, $5,000. That ain't even a good room. Yeah. It's more like 8. 2 nights, Disney, $8,000. Experience sounds fabulous. It really does. I don't know if it's an $8,000 experience, but it sounds fabulous. And $8,000 be a good down payment for a new boat, man. So I'm just thinking, which one do I want? 2 nights at Disney's start. Hey, it sounds cool as hell. If it's the real thing, I'd do it, man. But I don't know. You mean dress up like Obi-Wan Kenobi? No, I'll put my hair down and dress up like Qui-Gon Jinn. Yeah, see, look, see right here. Yeah, dress up like Qui-Gon. I know, huh? But getting back, I know we keep getting off topic here and changing topic and jumping around, but getting back to what we were talking about, those things we mentioned earlier in the show are ways to know that you have been abducted, or at least to help you start asking the right questions and looking for the right people. But more and more things are going to manifest. And it's not really easy to put the genie back in the freaking bottle. The more you look into this, the more you accept what's going on, the faster it comes to you. And then you'll start being conscious of some of the events, some of the stuff that happens. Well, it's like catching something at the corner of your eye, or being somewhere when an experience is going down, but you're not part of it. But because you've been part of so many, you're allowed to witness it because you're not a threat, or because you're a keeper, or a contactee, or a communicator or something, you're allowed to watch it, to be part of it. And sometimes abductees and contactees are called to places to be taken, but sometimes they get more than what was expected. And what I mean by that is sometimes the call goes out and somebody's had already been taken or not supposed to be in this group that show up anyway. Well, they don't actually take y'all, but they let y'all participate as part of the loading parties or part of the people that monitor or help to keep them cracking up or getting upset or something. That's their jobs. It's interesting to think about it, but when these events are going on, you're aware of them, you see them, and then you're allowed to remember a lot of this. That's once you get past the abduction stage. But so as you're fighting through being an abductee or finding out if it's real or not, again, find someone who's good. Is hypnosis always the answer? No, hypnosis can be used for a lot of things, and it can be used to recover memories. I just prefer that you work with some people first and ask the right questions. And can I talk to other contactees, because a lot of times when you're talking to them, they'll say stuff that triggers memories. If that don't work, hypnosis is still there, and it can be used. But remember, once it's out of the bag, it's out of the bag. There's no putting it back. So once we get in your head, and it comes out, you have to deal with it. I mean, that's how it is. By the way, we're going to give away some books tonight. We're giving away 2 Writers of the Future books of Volume 38 and Volume 37, which I got around here somewhere, but we're giving them away only if you can tell me. Let me light this up for a minute. So there's something next to the skeleton head. See the skeleton head? Dun, dun, dun. He's always there. That's Ben the Gray. He bent over one time and the lightsaber got him. But anyway, there's something next to the alien skull. And if you know what it is and you know it's its name, I will send you both books. I will do this for 2 people. Okay. So no, it's gonna it'll yeah, the first 2 people who get it right. Yes, the first 2 people who get it right. So anyway, we got about a half hour before the end of the show. So the first 2 people who get that right, just be sure you send me your contact information so I can send them to you. And I will send you one of Writers of the Future Volume 38 and one of Writers of the Future Volume 37. I got quite a few of them I'm giving away. Yes, we are giving away a couple of lightsabers this year too, by the way. You want to see this one? Look. I know it's like having a little mini commercial here. Dun, 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 dun. Die. Luke, you bastard, I am not your father. He lied to you. Yes, you think it. You're ugly little shit. But if you know what I'm talking about, this is the Crown Royal. Oh, you can see that back there. The Crown Royal was like 2 years old, man. I got that out in LA about 2 years ago at a party. We're not even going to get into that. So anyway, so if you get that, we're good to go. But right quick, it takes a little while. I'm not going to lie to you to really come to terms, to really to understand that you have been taken. It's not just the facts that let you know. Okay, look, this and this adds up to nothing else. I have to have been taken. It's the only thing it can be. Okay, that's true. And that probably helps you to get there. But you need more than that.
To UFO Undercover with your host, Joe Montaldo, right here on the Paranormal Radio.
Yes, the Twilight Zone interrupted right smack in the middle of the show. This lightsaber came from Fan X in Salt Lake City, Utah. I was up there. Let's see. We'll look at it. I see a couple people ask me about it. Yes, this one's being given away, by the way. Along with, I can't even think of his name now. The Last Bad Guy. We're also going to give away Rey's and Obi-Wan Kenobi's. Oh, what's his name? Ones that came out on the side. I can't think of his name for some reason right now. Han Solo's son. This one, by the way, so you know what you're getting. It's very beautiful. They're expensive little bastards too, by the way. These are gifts from the manufacturer. This has the fighting sword on it. And the reason why is the original one that came with it, if you smacked up against something, it would break. These are the ones because they have contests. They go fight these damn swords. They goddamn fight with each other. And they won't break that way. Well, the cheap ones were about $130. Expensive ones were up around $500. And they had every handle that ever been in any Star Wars movie anywhere. So yes, we're gonna give those away. Oh, I didn't give out my email, icar@cox.net. Sorry. Yes. So just write to me there. Okay. Look, I'll even cheat for y'all. Okay. So now if you watch this show, you know what kind of gun it is. And you know its name. But you have to know its name to win. If you don't know its name, you can't win. Yeah, you never know what's on that shelf. Different things on that shelf all the time. Those books back there are all the great philosophers. All their writings are back there. You can read them. Matter of fact, later in the year, you'll have to give me one of those books names to win. That means work, going to full screen, zooming in and stuff. Yes, we're going to give away a lot of stuff this year. Y'all know what this is right here? Look at that old clock. Oh, look at that baby girl right there. Oh, I thought she was a girl. Damn. See, these are different Writers of the Futures books over here. But I got about 300 books in the house, courtesy 200 from Writers of the Futures, by the way. We'll be giving them away as well. The best piece of advice I can give to an abductee is think about who you're going to tell this to. Be very careful. Take your time going through the awakening process. Don't rush it. Realize that you are an empath or a telepath, so use those abilities. Start to understand that you have the abilities and use them. Well, like different people in the organizations, they use them for closing deals and getting their way on different things and knowing how someone's going to react to something ahead of time. It's always it's a nice gift. So these are gifts that all abductees and contactees have, so you can learn how to use them. But take your time with this. Find someone, look around in the field, and ask the right questions and find someone who can help you. Really, be careful. There's a lot of people out there just looking for their next book. Yes, well, if you go look at some of the really famous ufologists, you'll notice that they'll all have at least one abductee or someone like that who has written a book that they championed. Yes. But so you know this, and you can go listen to Wake Up USA if you don't believe me. For the first 2 years I was on Wake Up USA, every ufologist in the field, everyone hated on me when I talked about alien abductions. Paula Harris wouldn't talk to me for 2 years because I dropped a bombshell on her one time about alien abductions on the show. She got mad at me. I ran into it at the Roswell 60th anniversary we made up, but still, it's just how it is, guys. And then all of a sudden, every one of them had one abductee they were champion. And they haven't had any more since then, but they have. Well, the more sensational, the better for them. See, that's why I don't do conferences, because mine would be boring. Mine would be about the truth and what real information's out there, and really good speakers who really do their homework and really think about it. Most of the speakers I see today are very new agey and really don't understand any of this, and the rest of them really haven't done their homework. A lot of them written books, but they've written books about one thing or another thing, nothing with any depth to it. I've been trying to write a book. To put this in perspective, I was in Rise of the Futures last year, and just April, I was out there. And while I was there, I managed to get 12,000 words out on the Gulf Breeze experience. But, man, this is probably a 100,000 word thing. And and since I've been home, I haven't been able to write a word. I know. It's one of those things. I guess I should find a ghostwriter and do it that way. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We talk about that in another show. Also, if you notice weird marks, feel weird things on your skin that are there and they're not there, sometimes there'll be a little triangle. They usually won't be like cuts or anything. They'll be healed, or they'll be just like pinpricks. But there'll be marks. Sometimes it'll even be handprints. If some men, some women struggle and fight, and sometimes you'll find like prints around the arm, prints around the thigh, inside the thigh, around the calf, stuff like that, because something grabbed you hard and held on while you were kicking and screaming like a maniac trying to get the bleep 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 away from the bleep bleep bleeping aliens. Wouldn't you want to run? It's our human nature to haul ass, isn't it? Run, you son of a bitch, run. But that's just the start of knowing that you're an abductee. By going through these different things we've talked about tonight, it kind of helps you to know that it's time to find someone to work with. Don't go through this by yourself. Don't do what so many of the old abductees and contact, the baby boomers and the ex-geners have had to go through. A lot of them went through this alone until they ran across people like me and other people in the field like Javon Smith, Melinda Leslie, people like that, Karina Sables, or other contactees and abductees that really, Naria Isley, Miriam Delicato, people like this were out there to help you. They're not into it to make money. They're out to want to help you. Whether you agree with their personal experiences or not doesn't so much matter, that you do know they've been taken, and that's their experience, and this is your experience, but they can help you with your experience. And it's someone to talk to that doesn't think you're effing loony. I have noticed something, though. It started happening in the late 90s and is more prevalent in 2000s. It seems like more and more of the abductees we find today, the spouse is an abductee too. In the early days, it wasn't like that. This was a major contention for divorce. I can't tell you how many original abductees I met that got divorced and then met somebody online that turned out to be a contactee. It's weird. Goes back to what we were talking about earlier when we show up at conferences and people recognize they've never seen each other before. They're like, holy shit, who is that? Where'd they come from? Oh, John, I'll tell you right now, November 8th, from about 5 p.m. till midnight. About 8 of the hosts on the network will be up and crewed up for the political. Yeah, oh yeah, we'll be all going all night, just like we do in all major political events. We do all the elections, the presidential elections and the midterm elections. Oh yeah, I can't wait to mine. I'm either going to be crying or jumping for joy. Won't know until then, though. No, we don't. We're not going to get into that. We don't really talk about this on that show. But tune in to Centralist this Friday night, ladies and gentlemen. We will be discussing it then. Yes, that's why it's called the Centralist. I'm not even going to repeat that. I'm not. Who? Oh, I didn't even see Mike wrote that down there. Kyle Wren. Yeah, see, he's got a cool ass lightsaber. We're going to have that one given away. Obi-Wan's we're giving away. The one that's behind me and Ray's we're going to give away. If they'll give us, look, these are going to be, they're giving these out. It's for advertisement. They're advertising with the network, and these are things that they're going to give out for the advertisement on the network. The lightsabers are great. I didn't ask him. I'll ask if you can get the ones if they're going to come with the fighting sticks, because they are extra for the fighting ends than the non. I will whack you in the head with the lightsaber, buddy. I've been thinking about hooking it up so I can run like a taser charge up it. Yeah, I got an idea to do that, and just put a contact on each end, put like a 600-volt taser on it, and when you turn on the light, it turns on taser. So when you swing it, it will go. And when it hits your ass, it goes. Yes, I'm evil. What can I say? No, Luke, I am not your father. You're a bastard, Luke. Sorry. Oh, did I say that again? I apologize. Being an abductee sucks in the beginning. You're alone. You're scared. It's you don't know what the hell to do and who to turn to. Again, there's a lot more information today than there used to be. Get on the internet. You can always write to me. I can always try to help put you in touch with somebody that might be able to help you out. Right now, no. You mean for iCar? No. We don't have as many directors as usual. How can I say this nicely? We're in the middle of changing around the organization, so we did some house cleaning earlier this year. About half the staff is going. Well, they were just keeping space. I mean, they do stuff from time to time, and they still do stuff for us. But you can only keep the really active ones. So everybody's pretty booked up for at least 6 to 7 months out at a time right now. Somewhere around about 2 years out. So you can only do so much. Well, we get way more reports than we used to. Well, yes, I did rewrite the Betty and Barney Hill case. No, we're not going to talk about that. I will do a whole show on that in the future, or maybe I'll do a group of cases that we rewrote. What do you? Oh wait, here, look, see there it is. I didn't know I took it off my shoulder. Yeah, look, see how cute it is. No, what a doofus. I'm sorry. What state do you think is the most UFO reports? Ooh, what's the best time of day for UFO? Most reports are given somewhere usually around 6 to 7 p.m. That's because people are out that time. It's summertime. July is the best month. But what state? Is it California? Big state. Is it New York? Is it Texas? Is it Florida? Well, to be totally honest with you about this, it all depends on which UFO reporting site you go to. There's Peter Davenport's, there's MUFON's, and there's a couple of them out there. Besides that, we don't track UFOs. We don't have to. Other organizations do it for us. No need to track UFOs. California, July. Well, California got 40 million people in it. You can't. And there's a lot of weird shit goes on in California. Well, I was out about 9 years ago. We were driving across the state, in the middle of the state, actually. Well, not quite the middle of the state. Kind of a little south past the middle of the state. We were coming out, I think it was Reno or somewhere. Anyway, we're cruising along, and we were trying to drive on an angle to cross right below the middle of the state and kind of meander our way down to Highway 1 and then drive down to LA. And we're cruising along. We've seen these one big ass, beautiful, blue, glowing hunk of plasma. Looked like something out of a movie just come. And then here comes a pink one, about twice its size, doing the same thing. So I'm thinking, are we getting ready to get probed, taken? What the bleep is going on here? What the hell is going on here? Should we even be involved in this? Should we just punch it and get the hell out of here? What the hell is going on? So I'm trying to get on the phone with a friend of mine. My phone is just flipping out, which, I'm like, oh shit. We get up the road a little ways. My phone comes back on. And all this, it really felt intense. Like you could almost feel the energy like crackling as it went up past you. And so I got hold of a friend of mine who got hold of a friend of his. And it's something that happens out there. It's I guess the plates are rubbing together right there, and it creates these plasma balls. They were badass looking. I didn't know what they were. I'd never seen one before. I mean, I've been out in the swamp when there's swamp gas going on, and people think they're like ghosts. And it kind of does look like ghosts because there'll be different colors, and it'll be kind of smushing and squishing and squeezing between the trees. But it looks like it's alive. It's just the wind pushing it through the trees, but it looks alive. So I could kind of understand that. That was badass. There was a name, official name for him, but it's been so long I forgot. But it was cool to see him. And there are a lot of weird things in Cali. That's like I was driving into Roswell for the 50. It was 2 years before the 60th, so 58th anniversary of Roswell. I'm cruising on 58th year of Roswell. I'm cruising in. I'm coming out of Lubbock, Texas, cruising down this road, this 2-lane highway going up and down. And you get to the top, and you can see these little like towns and villages tucked in different places because it was dark outside, the lights. We come over one of these hills, and this thing, it almost looked like it was going to hit the car. It was so close to the road. It was like a scene out of damn Close Encounters. It rocked the car when it went over it. So there was like 6 of us in the car. Everybody's got their heads out the window with cameras. Just snapping away, phones snapping away. And not a damn thing was on any of them. So we're going down. So I just stopped. We're going down the hill, so I just stopped. Turned the car around and punched it, went back up the hill. And right as we crested, this thing came back the other way. It felt like it was trying to push us down. It was weird because it went by so fast that the car, and we were in a Nissan Armada, actually. It felt like the damn thing was trying to be pushed back down the hill. So I stopped, turned back around, punched it again. And this thing's got a big old V8, 305 horsepower V8. I'm cruising along, trying to catch up with this thing. And then I still remember this. A friend of mine tasked me and said, Joe, we're like 8 miles from Roswell. Slow down. We're going to all be in jail. So I slowed down, and we hit Roswell. And somebody had reported seeing this glowing plasma thing floating down Main Street. I don't know if that's I don't know what the hell we saw. And it was weird because when we left, a friend of mine, Jason Wilson, was when we left, we were getting near this military base when these white plasma things come shooting off, look like off one of the runways, just right over the top of our head, like, I don't know what the hell it was. It happened a couple of times. I have no idea what the hell we seen that night. Or the night going in, I have no idea what we seen. It was weird. And then I was in Stevensville for the Stevensville conference. I was down there doing a little debunking. And I was talking with Jason, and I started snapping just random pictures in the dark. And we got this weird 3-star thing kind of tilting and shimmering and moving. Don't know what the hell it was. But it was near the Stevensville nuclear power plant, whatever it was. It was creepy. The picture's up probably on Facebook. You'd have to probably scroll back like 18 years, but not that long, but still. It is kind of crazy. Well, Johnny, we got time for a couple more questions, but it just when you start seeing these in your dreams, pay attention to your dreams, write your dreams down, write your dreams down, write your dreams down. Pay attention when you freak out. If you have any kind of event that sets you off or creeps you out or flips you out, be sure you also write that down as well. And stop and try to see if you smell something weird, ozone or something. Try to every information you can get out of that experience that may have set you off. See what it is that set you off, because sometimes it's sight, sounds, and smells that set people off. Smells do it a lot. We're more acceptable to smells. It's something that really tunes us in quicker. So sometimes people will recognize a smell and will send them back into a memory. They'll be like, what the was that? So these are all things that can easily bring you to memory. Jesse, okay, what time we got? I don't know who told you, but it is true. One of the original tarot designs I made, I don't know, Jesus, 35 years ago. It's about 35 years ago. it's a tarot layout for tarot cards. It's very advanced. It's not for rookie tarot readers. Hey, Chad, I'm going to make it public. It was very private or something that a group of witches put together. The cards that were originally made from were what they call like cat cards. These people got more blood and wax on than you could even imagine. But it was the design is to give the reader the ability to give someone a very serious, very informed reading, other than like a Celtic cross or something along those lines. It's really for a more advanced level reader. But I'm going to make it public. I probably will do it first on TikTok, but I'm going to make it public. I don't know. What do you mean why it took me so long? Because it's mine. That's why, asshole. I used it. I don't use it anymore. Well, I can't say I should never use it, but not like I used to. Well, I used to read at a place called the Bottom of the Teacup in the Korea in the French Quarter, right across from the main libraries. Yeah, man, I'll go down there and read some cards for some people. These rich, famous people come in from Hollywood and California. Can you read my cards, man? I said, yes, I can read your cards. Sit down. Can you read my tea leaves? Oh, yeah, I can read them too. It's, but we used to do a lot of readings. We used to get paid to do a lot of readings. And even when I left there, we were still getting paid to do a lot of readings. And I wasn't personally satisfied with the amount of information that was coming out of readings. So I had a friend of mine who was with the Tree of Life people, and he gave me a call one day, and some Wiccans we knew, we got together, and we all sat down along with a coven from the city. And I did this original layout, and I said, I like the way this spreads, but we need to figure out what everything's going to represent and what it means. So we did. It took, I don't know, a couple of months, and it's a great way to read cards. Oh, yes. Very informative, easy. What do you mean, up or down? That's entirely up to the reader. I read them both ways because to me they have two different meanings. But for some people they don't. Some people just read the card for what the card is, whether it's up or down. For me, because I was taught to read way, way, way back in the day by also Carly's great grandson, I read both ways. Yes, because it's just because the card's upside down doesn't always make it negative. About half the time it is, though. And it's not always a major negative, but it also depends on what the card is. Yes, so a really good card can be a really bad card upside down. Yes, it can be. So that's what you want me to teach people how I read cards. No. Most tarot readers I know are nowhere near ready to read at the level I do. No. Well, you know why I gave up tarot? You want to know the truth? Because I didn't need them anymore. I didn't have to use them anymore. I was somewhere, and this individual walked up and he touched my hand, and when he did, I seen like 4 years of his life just complete. So I just babbled it off to the guy. And it happened again like 2 days later. And then I was getting ready to read someone's tarot card, and the lady reached over, and as she handed me the card, she touched the top of my hand. And I seen it, so I asked her a bunch of questions. I said, has this, and this happened to you? And she's like, how the hell you know that? And so I seen that, and I had seen the future, so I just laid it out. So to all of these people I'm talking about, everything that I told them actually came to pass exactly the way I told them. It still freaks me out even today. So from time to time, when I meet someone, it doesn't always work, by the way, but when I meet someone, a lot of times, if it's something it's meant to be given, if they touch me, man, they don't even have to touch me sometimes. It just, I don't even know how to explain it. I don't even know where it comes from. It's not like a hear, a sign, a smell, a smell, a sight. It's none of that. It's just there. It's like somebody just downloaded that whole entire packet into my head, and there it is. I don't even know how to explain it to you. It's very interesting. I don't use it that much anymore because because some of the work I'm into these days doesn't afford me the time to do that anymore. Well, my day job, especially right now, because we're slow, so that means I got to get out, hustle my ass off and find some work. Unless I want to move to Florida, it's it just doesn't afford me time. The radio station takes up a lot of my time. iCar takes up a lot of my time, and my day job takes up a lot of my time. And we don't ask for donations or anything, so I know. Well, the station pays for itself at least now. So it was making a pretty good profit there for a while, but now it's just paying for itself again. But as long as it's paying for itself, it'll stay around. Yes. If you feel that way, you should contact someone. If you're having those experiences, and you're seeing things, a lot of times the grays can be aggravating and playful. So can reptilians and humans, but so sometimes you'll see them like peek around a corner, peek over the foot of your bed. If you got one of them tall poster beds, they'll peek over the top of it and shit. You'll see them looking into your room and stuff to see if you're awake or not. Even though they have the equipment to know that you are, I think they just do it to F around. Or when you wake up as you're passing through the wall and you can see, I guess it's the atoms of the wall as you're going through the makeup of the wall itself. Or when you get outside and you're floating up to the ship or you're blue lighted up to the ship. I don't know. Some of it sounds like teleportation. Some of it just sounds like levitation. Yeah, some of it just sounds like they have the way to shift molecules and walls and stuff, but it does seem like it's just pulling you, a beam's pulling you through, and then a beam's pulling you up. That sounds like some type of anti-gravity or something. I don't know. But again, take your time, find someone who can work with you. The most important thing is not to rush yourself in this. Don't let it make you crazy. Okay, it's going to flip you out, but listen to stuff like what I'm saying tonight, or catch me up one night and I'll do one of the monotone voices for you to help you out. But really and truly, take your time, look up as much information as you can. Don't get lost. Only read what fits you personally. Don't worry about what's happened to Jane or Joe or Jack or Gene or whoever. Only worry about you. Deal with what you're going through. If you find a support group, don't let them change the way you believe in your contact. Okay, find a researcher and express your contact to that researcher. You can always write to us and give us your experience and we'll put it in our database. But it may be, to be truthful, I'm not going to lie, right now it'd probably be 6 or 7 months before you get an email back. I mean, you might get an automatic reply saying thank you for the email, but it'll be 6 or 7 months. Now, there are shortcuts. If you know one of us, myself, or somebody that you might know in an organization is traveling, and there are going to be places like I was in Dragon Con and I was at FanX, if you would have caught me there, I would have talked to you about this. That's one of the reasons I go to these things. No, I went to FanX to tell everybody I wasn't Luke's father. That's all. Nah, serious. But that's why. Well, so weird story. I'm in Colorado. I stop in this store, wanting to buy something in the store. Me and my wife. So my wife's talking to the guy behind the counter, and the guy says, "Is your name Joe?" And then he says, "Can I have your autograph?" He said, "I'll give you a discount if you give me your autograph." That's weird to me. Okay, it's not that I have never been asked my autograph. I have, but it's I don't know. It's not something that ever happens to me every day. Usually I'm at work dealing with contractors or customers that have no idea I do this. They have no clue. Unless for some reason they got brave and looked me up, they have no clue. And even if they did, they wouldn't care because as long as the price is good and the job is done right, they don't give a crap. Aliens could be probed me to moon and back. They wouldn't care. They're just going to care about their price of their job and what they think they should be involved in. Well, people are people. Aliens love me a long time. A really long time. It's I'm not exactly sure, why people want to deny this. I mean, I understand why, because it is scary and freaky, but it's easier to deal with it. Bring it out. You don't have to tell everybody in the world. Find some people you can trust and talk to them about it. Once you can talk about this and get it off your chest, you realize there are some advantages to this as well. There are some abilities that come out of this stuff that you can use to enhance your own life. Things can change for you. A lot of times I will find contactees that were headed for suicide or worse. I'm sorry, something worse than suicide, sorry. But suicide or imprisonment or put into a mental institution or somewhere along those lines. And they'll find someone who will help them start to understand their experience. And that usually leads to finding someone who cares about them, that's had experiences themselves, which sometimes leads to marriage or some other type of relationship. And these people become valuable citizens again. They start contributing to society. They're working. They've got their goals. They still do the alien stuff, but they're still doing whatever it is that makes them, the ice cream man, the hair cutter, the politician, the judge, the lawyer, whatever the hell they may be, they're still doing it. And that's the way it should be. If we can welcome every other crazy person in our society into our society, then what's one more? That's all I got to say about it. But I know we got to get out of here in a few minutes because we're running out of time. Michelle DeRoche will be coming up next. Michelle, what are you doing, Michelle? Michelle DeRoche and Emilia Passano. Anyway, guys, on that note, good night. I hope to see everybody next week. We're back. Like I said, we're back on full time for a couple of weeks, at least until Christmas, probably. We might be off for New Year's, but the station won't be off for New Year's, but I might be off for New Year's. So until then, y'all have some fun. I'll see y'all Friday night. Bring your A game Friday because we got a lot to talk about, including how New York is losing its freaking mind. Good night, everybody, and stay tuned for the Outer Realm.
I had had enough.
Well, you drove out there into the middle of nowhere and had some sort of loud verbal display challenging ET in general out in the middle of nowhere?
That's what I was doing. I actually had a pistol in my hand at the time. I was really ticked off. When I was having this fit, I was waving the gun in the air, okay, and
Show yourself. Oh, please show yourself. You come to me in the night. You take me for the starry flight. You study me, you dissect me. You never show me the truth to me. Are you little men from the stars? Why won't you show yourself to me? Let me keep my memories of you. Visit me in the corner of me, and you'll touch me, and then you cage me. You leave me with these massive scars, you little men from the stars. Why won't you show yourself to me? Let me keep my memories of you. Why won't you show yourself to me? Let me keep my memories of you.
Yeah.